to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to another episode of A Well-Designed Business. It's Power Talk Friday, and you know what that means. That means I have another business expert here to help us sharpen our skills, help us learn the systems, the technologies, and the platforms that we need to transform our businesses. And today's guest is no exception. Mikael Dia is with me, and Mikael is a phenomenal entrepreneur and marketing expert. What particularly struck me in this conversation, above and beyond the content and the lessons, was Mikael's passion for helping business owners like us get our message out in a bigger, more directed, more focused way. Mikael Dia is a digital marketing expert, and he is the founder of Funnelytics, a software company helping entrepreneurs and marketers convert traffic into profit. Mikael's first venture was a Mandarin language school that he started in London in 2012. The business grew quickly, and Mikael and his business partner successfully exited within 8 months. He's grown his marketing agency, White Coat Digital, to over $1 million in revenue in just 18 months. Now, before I introduce you to Mikael, I have 2 teaser alerts for you. One is I have a new sponsor coming on board next week, Article.com. So I'll be telling you more about this company as the weeks go on and how you can work with them. In the meantime, check them out for yourself at Article.com. And the second teaser alert is I am launching a group coaching program. This is for you if you are in business. This is the typical profile that if you fit in this will be valuable for you. You are probably in business under 3 years. You need support. You need accountability. And more than anything, you need a safe place to ask all the questions you have about running your interior design business. If this sounds like you, I am launching a mastermind for you, okay? This one is called Foundations, all right? The second mastermind that I'm launching is for the next phase. This one is called Transitions. In this phase, you are probably making money. You've been around the block a little bit, and you probably do pretty well, and you probably have a pretty good handle on most things in your business, but you're feeling like you've plateaued, or you absolutely know you want to scale up to the next level. You want to bring home 6 figures, not just have gross sales of 6 figures, but you want to earn personally 6 figures. Maybe you want to hire. You need help on leading and how to manage others. You want the inside information on how your peers handle problems, and you're ready to get serious. That's what this level is. Both groups are going to start on September 12th. If you want to know if you are a right fit for either of these groups, email my assistant, Christy, Christie, at luannigara.com, and she will arrange for us to spend 15 or 20 minutes talking about where you are in business and which place would be best for you. All right? Seats are limited. If you're interested, don't dawdle, okay? Let's at least have that phone call to see if it's a good fit for you. All right? Now, are you ready to meet Mikael? Let's get to that. Hi, Mikael. Thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, Mikael, I have to tell you, and I'm just going to share with all my friends out there, that I usually spend about 10 minutes or so before air understanding my guests' focus, their superpower, what it is that I really want to bring out and be able to show and share with my designer friends. And we just spent about 25 minutes, and you have so much to teach us. So forget that you're excited to be here. I'm excited to really dig in with this with you. So
it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's a big topic, but you're smart. I'm already telling you guys, this is going to be good. So here's the thing. Mikael's experience and his expertise is helping people through the phase of building from your lead magnet, your email sequence, and what the people in the business call, not me, I'm not in the business, people in the business call your funnel, right? Now, we've had conversations on the show before about this. We've had conversations with Kay Whitaker. We've had conversations with Claire Jefford, and I'll look up those show numbers for you. But the thing is that it's even as interior designers that are not quote unquote online marketers, it's important to develop a funnel and to develop lead magnets so that we can attract new clients into our fold and create clients for our pipeline. And in those conversations with Claire and Kay, we talked about the type of things as far as specifically as a designer, what you could do. And today with Mikael, we're going to talk more top view about, he's got a program called Growth Accelerator, and it has 9 phases of the process of starting this whole thing and bringing it to its success. So start us off, Mikael. What do you want us to know first before we start to dig into these specific 9 phases?
Yeah. Look, I think it's very important that people don't get stuck on this concept of funnels in the sense of like the word funnels. It can kind of be intimidating. The way you have to look at this is pretty simple. Most people, when they have their business and they try to market online, they just throw stuff at the wall. They post on social media, they create content, they just hope that something is going to maybe attract somebody to my website, and that person is going to maybe click on the right thing on the website that is going to make them apply and then come to me and I can turn them into a client. That's how most businesses kind of go about this.
No, it's not. No.
Exactly. The funny thing is, like, it's just our natural tendency because we, hey, do social media, create content, etc. It's like, I don't know what to do with it, so I'm just going to do it and hope that it kind of works. But what a funnel really does is it allows you to control the conversation. What you're trying to do is say, okay, who is the dream customer that I'm targeting? That one person. If I could pick anybody in the world, who is that one person that I want to target? Get them to click on an ad, go to a page where they have one option and two options. Their only option is to opt in or leave, right? To take the action that you want them on that page or just leave. Once they take that action, they now go to the next step. Now they have one action or leave. Right? So what you're doing is you're directing them, you're guiding the conversation, you're telling them to go through these steps in order to go and apply to work with you or to buy something from your website, etc. So instead of sending a mass message across social media, you're hoping to really guide that conversation. You don't want to send people straight to a website where they can click around all over the place and hope that they get to where you want them. You're guiding that conversation. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And so, but it also is, as you said, it's daunting. It sounds amazing, but then it's like, well, how do I do that? Because when you describe it like that, Mikael, it is so clear and it is exactly what we want. I love the idea of we want them to do one thing or the other. We want them to click and go further or just leave, get out. Don't, you know what I mean? Don't bother. I don't want to bother with you. You don't want to bother with me, right? We don't need to be everything to everyone. I think that's what you're trying to express to us, that popularity here is not our goal. It's to be popular with exactly only the person we want to be popular with, right?
Exactly. And here's how you really start this process. first and foremost, you have to know who you want to target. You have to have a very clear idea of who is your dream client. And most people are like, well, I have like 15 dream clients. No, you have one dream client. Who is that? If you could put a row of people in front of you, one is a middle-aged man who works, I don't know, whatever, in a factory somewhere, and then you have a housewife, and you have a whatever, right? You have all of these different people. Who is that one dream client? What are they really trying to solve? What is their pain? What is the thing that they're really trying to achieve in their life? And once you know who that one dream client is, you need to ask yourself, what is the top of the mountain that you can take them to? Here's how I look at business and how really everybody should look at business. What you're doing is you're building a mountain, okay? Your mountain, if somebody climbs up to the top of your mountain, they have solved a specific problem or they have achieved a specific desire. The top of your mountain allows them to relieve whatever pain they have or actually gain access to whatever desire that they want. Now, if you imagine you're standing at the top of this mountain and you know that if somebody gets to the top of the mountain, they've, let's say, for example, have lost weight or, have stopped binge eating and have restored their relationship with food. And I'm giving that as an example because I have a business in that space. If you know that if they get to the top of this mountain, this is the this is the thing that they've achieved or the pain that they resolved. Your goal and your job is to shout to as many people to say, hey, pay attention to my mountain. If you really want to solve this one thing, if you really want to achieve this thing, then you need to climb up my mountain. Now, the reality is you're not the only mountain in town. There's somebody else over here and somebody else over there, and they're kind of shouting to the people at the bottom of the mountain saying, hey, I can also help you do this and I can also help you do that, right? So if you're not extremely specific as to who you help and what they really get when they get to the top of the mountain, and if you can't actually say, hey, in fact, here's all these other people who've climbed this mountain with me and look at where they're at. Look at their lives. Look at what they've achieved, right? Here's all of these customers, these clients that I've worked with in the past who are just like you down there, and look at where they're at. If you climb this mountain with me, you're now going to be like them. Okay? Does that make sense?
It does. I'm digesting it, and it's making me recall various conversations that we've had on the podcast. So, I don't know. Do you know Adam Urbanski?
I do not know.
No, you need to know him too, because he's very smart like you. So Adam Urbanski was on episode 280, and he taught us how to identify our ideal client, okay? But what I know, Mikael, to be true is we need to hear things 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times before we can get that moment, that clarity. And so if our goal, and I'm hearing you, is we're standing at the top of the mountain. Here I am. I'm an interior designer listening. I'm at the top of the mountain. And what you're asking me to do is to say, what happens to a client if they get to the top of the mountain with me? That's what am I understanding? You're saying, think about your client, think about the ideal work that you want to do and the ideal person and type of client and job you want to attract. And when they get to the top of the mountain, what happened to them? Is that
exactly
right? Okay. So now let's say, so that we can start to relate this to my buddies, okay? Let's say I'm an interior designer that wants to do mid-century design. That is my sweet spot. That's where I live. I love it. Is that specific enough? Like one area of design, is that specific enough? Or do I have to say, I want to do mid-century interior design for people 30 to 40 years old that are two career couples and make $450,000 a year? Like, how specific do I have to get with this?
So it's not so much about the demographic as you've broken it down like that. as it is specifically to what is the real reason why somebody wants mid-century design when they get to the top of the mountain. Because here's the problem that people face. I'll relate this back to weight loss, just to give you an example, because I think it's something that everyone can relate to. You go and say to somebody that I help you lose weight. Okay, that's great. But the problem is the reason why a mother who is just, postpartum, just finished, gone through pregnancy and all of that, the reason why she wants to lose weight versus a man who wants to lose weight, who's just gone through a divorce and is looking to meet new women and whatnot, the reason why they want to get to the top of a mountain is very, very different. So if you're sitting up there and shouting, hey, I'm going to help you lose weight, but you aren't speaking to that person as to why they want to lose weight, you're going to lose them. But if you go and say, hey, I actually am going to help you lose weight. I help men lose weight, get their bodies to this peak state so that they can attract more women, let's just say as an example. And now you can go and say, look at all the people on the top of my mountain who also have gone through this journey. It's relatable. They now look at you as the person who can actually help them solve their problem, right? So it's not so much about saying, well, it's a 20 to 30. Usually, once you nail that down, you can kind of figure out what is their actual core demographic. But you need to ask yourself, why? Why does somebody actually want, mid-century interior design, for example, right? What is the real reason? And if you look at all of your past clients, did they all have very, very different reasons? If so, try to find that commonality. Try to find the real, what is it about them? And maybe it's something about their past, who knows, right? So it's really about understanding that one person. And this is where most marketing fails online. They end up trying to, and that's why people do the whole social media and content marketing and whatnot, because they end up saying, I help anyone and everyone set up their homes the way they want to, or lose weight, or build a business, or live a better life, whatever it may be. But the core reason between me versus someone else as to why I want to build a better business, as to why I want to, renovate my home or whatever it may be, is different. So if you can't find the commonality as to who you're really targeting, it's going to be extremely difficult to make that message flow.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. And let me check something with you now. So if I were to, because again, I always have to just keep bringing you back to, I understand the analogy for losing weight and so forth, and it makes perfect sense. The message that you would put out into the world to attract a new mother, and the message you would put out into the world where you attract a recently divorced man that's now on the market are completely different messages, even though you're capable as that practitioner of helping either one of them to succeed, right? So that's really your point. You're saying it's not that you're only capable of doing one specific thing, but when you identify the one specific type of client you want, even if, and I'm going to go somewhere else with this, but I just had another question in the middle of that sentence. So even I might be somebody that is capable, again, stay with that example, of helping both the mother and the divorced man lose weight. But what are you suggesting, that I could either structure my entire firm to do only one or the other, or even if I don't limit my firm to one or the other, my marketing in my email sequence and my funnel is not going to be, well, 1 second for this person, and I'm going to direct one campaign one way and one campaign the other way. Is that correct?
Precisely.
Okay, I love that. Okay, so that helps us, because I know that as much as we have interior designers that truly love to design in a specific aesthetic, there are many designers that prefer to do all different aesthetics, that don't prefer a signature look, that prefer to really bring out what each client is special and unique to them. And so, but what we're saying is, correct me, if I'm that designer that truly believes that my greatest pleasure is the fact that I have enough talent that if one client wants mid-century, another client wants Tuscan, and another client wants, I don't know what other, whatever, I can't even think of another style right now, beachy, okay, coastal beachy, that I have the confidence to know that I'm capable of all three. So I don't like this idea of niching, and I don't like this idea of narrowing my target. We can say to that designer, you can do all three, but have a marketing plan and a marketing funnel for each, and that it drives each of these individuals to a different page on your website, as opposed to, I think I heard in the beginning, don't be specific and then bring them to broad, because then they get lost. So if I want to specifically attract beachy coastal, I'm going to bring them to a portfolio page with beachy coastal.
You got it.
Okay. I love it when I get it. Okay. So now I have another question now. So we're going to go a little bit further. So if I am going back to mid-century design, when I think about the reasons, now you said if you have three clients that you've executed mid-century design, think about what's common to them, think about what happened and why they wanted it, not beyond the aesthetic. So I'll use myself as an example, okay? Everybody knows that I'm 55 years old, which means I grew up in the 60s and 70s, okay? So when I moved and sold the house and downsized to the townhouse, I did do mid-century design. And when I think about why did I do mid-century design, and this is what I think you're suggesting that we have to tap into. So if I use myself as a guinea pig, I did it because of a couple of main markers. Number one, Mad Men was all the rage when I was in the middle of moving, and you're just looking at these interiors, and what's hitting me is the nostalgia of it. It's hearkening back to the 60s and 70s in the era I grew up. That's one marker. The second marker is that I had just come from having a house for 20 years that I built and designed and decorated that was just overloaded with every last blasted trim, fringe, bullion, damask fabric, silk fabric that you could find, and I couldn't breathe anymore. So I was like, I want it clean. And then the third thing was that it was a smaller space, and it was a space that I didn't want to fuss with anymore. I wanted to be clean and shed the accoutrements of having to dust 9,000 trinkets. And so are those the markers that you want to tap into, and probably you're going to snag a lot of people when you go to that specific? Is that what we're talking about, Mikael?
It's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
The what you've just described there. Do you see how powerful that is when you look at your marketing message, when you look at what you say on the landing page, right, when actually you're standing at the top of the mountain as that attractive character, yes, and trying to resonate with the people who are down below, right, they are feeling the same things. Right. Now they look at you and they're like, oh, she gets it.
She gets me.
She understands why I want this. Yes. I'm going to pay attention to her message. I'm going to pay attention to what it is that she's saying. So diving like that and understanding those underlying markers that you've just identified makes that person say, I'm going to pay attention to your mountain versus every other mountain.
Right. I like that. I mean, I don't know that I've ever understood it as clearly before. I've understood, and we've certainly have talked, like I said, many conversations about identifying that ideal target market. But when you think about before, like I said, what did I start with? Okay, mid-century, two-career couple. I went down the wrong road. And then through your conversation, I was like, okay, he's saying, hit me where it hurts. Like, hit me really where it hurts. What are the emotional reasons that somebody could want mid-century? Now, let's understand something, right? You check me on this. I want to make sure I'm clear for my friends. Is That's the emotional reasons that somebody in their mid-50s might like mid-century design. But there might be different emotional reasons why somebody in their 30s or 40s would, right? So you can identify different types of people that want the same outcome, but your point is then separate your messages.
Exactly, because just as you just mentioned it now, if the emotional reason, if the reason why somebody's climbing this mountain is different, then guess what? If you talk about on your ad and your landing page and your website and all of this stuff about, nostalgia, but then somebody who's 30 is going to land there and be like, well, actually, no, that doesn't resonate with me. Oh, she has really good designs, but, it's not really on point. So the trick with marketing is that here's the reality. You don't actually know 100% if this is the right message and whatnot. You take a guess, you identify who you assume is your dream customer, and then you start testing that message. And with marketing, you have to measure. You have to be able to measure whether something's working and what's not, right? So you do have to understand the data. You have to understand, is this message actually impacting the person that I'm trying to impact, or is it not? And it's extremely important. But yes, in general, that's how you have to look at it. If you really want to be able to scale, if you really want to be able to make your marketing work like clockwork, you have to be able to dial in that message.
It seems to me that it's a bit of work to do this. It's not something that you just offhand have a half hour sit down with yourself and make a list. It's something that probably very valuable to do, as you said. Think back to a group of clients that you've had and really figure out what their differences were. Not their differences in income, like I was on the wrong track to begin with, but their differences in their motivations and their hot buttons and so forth. And then the other component is to test and evaluate. And that's a hard part. Reading analytics, gathering analytics. I mean, I've had a lot of conversations with designers on the show. I'm thinking of Carla Aston, Laurel Byrne. I'm thinking of a lot of designers, Claire Jefford also as well, that are very adept and are proactive about going in and seeing how their analytics work for their blog posts and which produce and which don't. But most of us, it's sort of like, I don't know how to do that. What do you say to us that are out here thinking, how do I do that part?
Yeah, so I get it. I'm a marketer, and I'm technically an engineer. My field of study is engineering, so I'm very good at numbers, and I still hate it. It's one of boring. Those things. It's boring. Nobody wants to look at charts and graphs and percentages and spreadsheets, and it's frustrating, especially when creating a website, creating an advertisement campaign and then you go and send somebody to a landing page and they put in their name and email to download this freebie or this lead magnet, and they go to a thank you page, and that entire process is quite creative, right? You think through, okay, well, what is the nice messaging? What is the copy? What is the imagery that I want to put on this landing page or this ad and whatnot? That entire process is very creative, and even mapping out that sequence before you even go and build out all of these elements and these pieces, just mapping that entire process is quite creative. Usually what you do is you sit in front of a whiteboard and say, okay, well, I'm going to have a Facebook ad, or I'm going to have a blog, a piece of content, and I'm hoping that people travel from this Facebook ad to this landing page. So you draw out a little square with an arrow, and then I'm hoping that people put in their name and email, and they travel from my landing page to my download page. Let's just say, to keep it simple, right? Mm-hmm. So you end up mapping this out on a whiteboard. Then you go and you use these various page builders and whatnot to build out these pages, and then you have to sit through trying to connect these spreadsheets and graphs and charts and to understand whether or not somebody flowed through.
Right.
This is why I actually started my software company called Funnelytics. It was specifically to address this problem. My thought process was, why is it that I map out these things on a whiteboard and then I have to go and try to plug all of this data and try to understand what's happening on the whiteboard? Wouldn't it be so much better if I could have a drag and drop canvas on my computer where I could drag the different types of pages, my Facebook icon, and draw an arrow, literally link the Facebook icon to the landing page with an arrow, and just map out this entire kind of flow chart, and then hit a switch and see exactly how people are flowing through this thing that I've mapped out, that I've created. See where my drop-off points are, and see it in this visual format. And that's why I built Funnelytics, and that's actually what Funnelytics does. It allows you to map out your canvas, and it allows you to just click a button and see exactly how are people flowing through this in a very visual way. That way you don't have to actually go and look at charts and graphs and Google Analytics and get lost in all of this sea of data. You see, oh, this is where people are dropping off. I need to fix that. Oh, okay, people are going all the way to my checkout page, and I can see, oh, for every 1,000 people, it's costing me $1,000, but I'm getting 10 people to fill out an application. I can see where the holes are right there on the canvas, and now you can actually make decisions.
That's interesting. So you're talking our language. So what you're saying is you're basically converting numbers and charts and percentages into a visual thing that's colorful and says, boom, here's where the ball was dropped. Here's how far the ball got, la, la, la.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay. All right. It still doesn't teach us necessarily how to evaluate if it was good, bad, or indifferent, right? I mean, I guess if the chart is going further down the line, that's good. If it's getting closer to the mountain, that's good, right?
Yeah, actually, a funny thing, I'm in the process of building within our software. We're very much still early stages with the software, but we're creating a way to kind of forecast. So let's say I spend $1,000 on a Facebook ad campaign, and my forecast predicts that if somebody goes to my landing page, 20% of them end up putting in their name and email, and then out of those 20%, 5% end up filling out an application to get on the phone with me, scheduling a call, let's say, right? Mm-hmm. So the forecast will now show me, okay, what does that look like in terms of, how many people are you getting on the call, et cetera. Now, when you actually push real data, when you actually start spending the money on Facebook ads, we're going to have a little simple red light, green light, yellow light system where, hey, your forecast said that you expected your landing page to convert at 20%. It's currently converting at 10%. It's a red light. So here's a point. Exactly. You need to fix this.
Okay, change it, tweak it, or remove it.
Exactly, right? Tweak it, do something in order to bring it up from that 10% to that 20%. Otherwise, you won't be able to hit your numbers.
That's nice.
Yeah,
that's
it
really
would be very
nice. That's really nice. I mean, and goodness, spending $1,000 on Facebook ad right there is almost unthinkable. But, I mean, I'm sure that larger companies do, but we're usually more in the $3 to $5 per day range for a week or 2 weeks and seeing what's happening. But that's awesome to know that something's working or not working in the middle of it in execution.
Yeah, and the reason people spend $3 to $5 a day is because
we have no idea what we're doing.
They have no idea what's happening. They're hoping that, let's hope something happens, right? It's just the risk tolerance when you have no clue what's happening.
Right.
But when you actually can visually see, actually, people are getting all the way to this step, and then this is a hurdle in this step. Now I can easily pause my ads, play around with this step, and turn it back on.
Yeah.
Right. And I can get those numbers and that data much quicker, and I can make decisions.
Yeah. Well, it's true. Facebook ads are a mystery to me anyway. And it's exactly that. It's a risk factor. It's like, all right, I'll put $30 out and see what happens. And if nothing happens, it's not good. It's not the way to do something, because even $30 is $30 that I had to earn, and I don't get it back if I throw it away. But conversely, for WindowWorks, we'll put a $4,000 ad in a print publication for an awning ad, and we'll get 6, 7, 8, 10 phone calls off of that. And if we convert 3, we've got a 4 or 5 time return on that ad. So, it's not that as a business you don't have the ability to spend more money on marketing, but when you don't understand how it works and how to analyze if it is working, you either don't do it at all, or you just, like you said, you throw, $50 at the wall and don't worry about it. So that's why when you were describing that red light, green light, yellow, I love that.
Yeah, I think it's going to help a lot of small businesses and really get clarity on everything. So yes, I'm excited for it for sure.
Yes. Okay. So now in this Growth Accelerator, this new venture that you've got going on, we described that you have 9 phases that you take a business to go through in order to grow their business and grow their marketing online. Okay. The program is a 16-week program. It is designed as a hand-holding program. So I'm going to describe what I understand it, correct me. It's designed as a hand-holding program. So instead of a 16-week program where we throw money at somebody and we wake up in 16 weeks and see if it worked, instead, it's almost like a one-on-one coaching. So it's designed that your individual experts, whether it be Facebook marketing or lead magnets or video marketing, they are going to, over the 16 weeks, work side by side with the business owner, or if any of our firms are large enough to have a marketing person in-house, and break it down and say, okay, specifically your business, these are your goals, this is your target client, and this is an idea or a concept, but then we go and we execute. You don't do it for us, you teach us how to do it, and we come back in-house and then create. Am I on track?
That's right. And then from there, we review stuff. We help you, like, whenever you write, let's say we show you, okay, this is the best way for you to position your ad or to write your ad. You go and create that ad, and you write the copy, you come up with the creative and whatnot, but we'll always give you input. We'll always guide you along the way. We don't just say, okay, well, here you go, good luck. Hopefully it all works out. It's really meant to guide you along the process, because it is an accelerator. It is meant to put you with a group of people who can just say, okay, Facebook ads, like when you turn on your Facebook ads, we're going to log into your Facebook ads and we're going to have a session with you and look at it and say, okay, this one's working, here's why, this one's not working, and here's why, etc. Right? Same thing with your landing pages, your data, all of this stuff across the entire process.
Interesting. That's interesting. How do you have it worked out so far to the level of how the meetings happen? In other words, is it once a week for 16 weeks? Is it 2 hours a week? Do you have that worked out yet, or not yet, Mikael?
To some degree, the way it works is, I don't know if you're aware of or you're familiar with Slack. It's very similar to Skype in a sense, just a lot more for businesses and because you can create channels and whatnot. Okay. So all of our clients will join Slack. It's a free tool, similar to Skype in a sense, where we can have calls. We can just continuously have conversations. We'll have inside of Slack various channels, Facebook ads, etc., so that you can have conversations. And the cool thing with the program is that you're going to be part of this with other entrepreneurs going through the same process, right? So even though you have access one-on-one to myself and my coaches and the experts on my team, you'll also be surrounded by other entrepreneurs who are growing their business, who are part of this community and this culture. So you get to work with them as well, and a lot of accountability and a lot of communication happens.
That's amazing. That's like a mastermind. It's like a marketing mastermind.
Pretty much.
Wow. That's pretty genius.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
And it has when you're ready to launch, it has a specific start and end date, or are people going to be able to roll in and roll out, and you funnel in and do your 16 weeks. Somebody might be on their 5th week and you're on your 4th week.
Yes, because it's not going to be specific start dates. You can kind of apply. We'll only accept very specific people, and it's really about the dedication of the person. We want really dedicated entrepreneurs, people who are committed to growing their business, who are committed to going through the process, people who do understand that there is value in targeting a specific type of customer as opposed to, hey, I'm an interior designer. I'll do interior design for anybody. You tell me how to run my business type of thing. So we really are focused on working very closely with that, the entrepreneur, but you can roll in at any stage because it is about these 9 phases. We go through a specific process, but it may be that you have really great awareness in your business. It may be that you actually have an Instagram following and you're putting out content and people are loving it and they're commenting and whatnot, but you actually don't have your funnel in place properly. Right. Or it may be that you really know who your dream customer is and who you really focus on, but you haven't really built that attractive character, putting yourself out there and positioning yourself properly at the top of your mountain and whatnot. So even though we kind of go through this in 16 weeks, every single business the focus will always kind of change, right? So we work with the entrepreneur based on what they need to be focused on this week and then the next week and whatnot. So it really is cool.
It sounds like it's going to be really incredible. I mean, it really does. It really sounds like it's going to be something that really can transform someone's whole marketing focus in
Absolutely.
business. And what I love about it is, Mikael, that the component of us having the opportunity to actually learn. I mean, I'm in a position between WindowWorks and the podcast where there's a lot of opportunities for me to get involved with marketing or, and I meet a lot of experts like yourself, this and that, and many that are done for you sort of programs. But there is this, at least for me, there is this element of whether or not I have the available funds to put at a program that is a done for me. Sometimes it's tough for me to pull the trigger on that because I feel like if I don't understand it, how can I evaluate if they're being productive? And I don't function that way with everything. There's lots of things that I pay done for you on, you know what I'm saying? But marketing is a tough thing because it does take tweaking and paying attention. And if no one's doing that, then it does sort of feel like just buying lottery tickets every week. And so there's a couple of things that you said in here that really speak to me. You have your ideal client right here on the phone, I'm just going to say.
I
do. But the things that speak to me are that red light, green light, yellow light. I love that. That's like you have built in a measure that I know that you're measuring. And it's like, good. I don't need to know how it works, but you do it. Good. That's happy for me. And that you are giving me the ability to work side by side and be critiqued. And I'm not loving the part that I have to go back and do it on my own, but I probably have other people that I can say, this is what I learned from Mikael. Now you go do that.
Yeah. And within the program, the nice thing is we are going to, because the CEO and the business owner should be the CEO and the business owner. Yeah. They should not be in charge of doing all of the marketing, right? There's other things that you've got to worry about when it comes to growing your business. So this program is actually going to be with 2 people. So we highly encourage the CEO and the business owner to bring on an assistant or if they're at the very low level or a marketing, a manager or whatever it may be, so that we can go through the program as a group, because somebody needs to implement this stuff and it should not be the CEO or the business owner. Now,
I love that.
If the CEO or the business owner wants to learn this stuff and wants to go through it, absolutely they can. But ultimately it's really about growth, because one of the things that you and I spoke about prior to the show was, yes, there are specific services where you want to just hand somebody money, like plumbing, for example. You definitely don't necessarily want to sit on a webinar or learn how to fix your toilet if there's a problem with it. You just want somebody to come in and fix it.
Right. You got to get the guy.
Exactly. But marketing is one of those things that unless you know precisely who you're targeting and the messaging and whatnot, it becomes very hard for an outsider to come in and take the responsibility of figuring it all out,
right.
Especially if you end up paying that outsider a lot of money. And you try and take a step back and say, okay, well, you're now my marketing team. I'm going to be the CEO, and I'm not going to necessarily be overly involved. You guys are the experts. You guys do what you need to do. Well, and guess what's going to happen? 2 months, 3 months are going to go by, and they're going to be testing things and doing things, but they're not in your business every day.
Right. It's
right?
tough.
And
it's
very
right.
tough.
Yes. No,
So,
yeah, your thing totally answers that. And I love the fact that the business owner can go through with an assistant or a junior or whoever, because it's exactly that. I want to know, but I don't actually want to do everything.
Yep.
But I want to know because I'm putting my dollar bills out there.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times, to your point, even the point is when you hire an outside and you blanket let them do that, after, like you're saying, after 2 or 3 months, they could lose focus and not really be zeroed back in on your exact target client, or really testing a lot and not landing. Even your people in-house could sometimes go down a wrong road. And you, if you are the principal, you are also the salesperson. So that means you're also the one that's having every conversation with every client. And it's through those conversations with our clients that we learn those triggers: nostalgia, clean living, Mad Men influence. Like, it's through those conversations. And if your junior is not the one on the front line, or your marketing person is not the one having direct conversations with your client, then they are at risk of losing sight of the message. Whereas if you're in it and you can come back and say, oh, you learned this XYZ at Growth Accelerator, and here's the hot point that I just learned is one of our big things that converts for us. So, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And a lot of, I always say, because a lot of people in the industry, you always say that marketing drives sales, right? And your marketing kind of drives getting on the phone or the actual sales process. And the better your marketing is, the easier the sales process becomes. But a lot of people forget that actually sales also drives your marketing.
Right.
Once you get those conversations, you can refine your marketing, you can refine your message, you can make your marketing more effective and better, because you're getting on the phone, or you're identifying who is the person that's buying from your website or whatever it may be, and you're starting to see trends, and you're starting to see patterns in their pain points, their discussions, whatever it may be, and then you're using that to refine your marketing. So although marketing drives sales, sales does drive marketing as well.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And I've taught that to everyone that's ever worked for me. Have conversations with the people that you are working with. And when we're done the process, one of my favorite things is, what did you like about working with WindowWorks? Just because this is where you start to learn the things that you want to say to the next person.
Yep.
When somebody says, well, I really love that your installer always takes his shoes off when he's in my house without me having to ask him. So what do I say in my next sales consultation before I close them down? I say, and one of the things that we're really proud of is our installers take their shoes off when they're in your house. I mean, it's, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. It's a little thing that you don't think about, but actually is one of the reasons. Instantly, they now see you as, oh, okay, they're professional, they're clean, they don't leave a mess.
Right.
I will choose you over somebody else because you've just mentioned that.
Well, and the thing what I've always told our people is, our direct competitor might be doing the same thing, but we're the ones that are letting them know. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. We tell them. And so that is the thing, that is the little nudge in there and it's one of the things that I often share with the designers when I'm coaching with them in groups and one-on-one is, you know what you know, but we don't know it. Right? So you not only know what you know about your craft and your talent, but you also know about your process, and I don't know it. And there's key markers in every business's process that attracts a client to pull the trigger and work with that business. And so when I'm in a home that is particularly well kept and you just know the difference, that's one. I say it in almost every, but that's one where I'm sure, in my install, they'll take their shoes off till they take the garbage away, till they'll vacuum the windowsills when they're done. Because I'm recognizing what's important to that person, and I'm not leaving it to her to assume that we're going to do these things. I share with her what we'll do, and then she gets further convinced that we're the people. And so it's right. It's a fun little thing. I love it. It's very exciting. Before you go, I would love for you to share one story with us. When I was researching you, I saw that you had a particular success case, and maybe it was the client that you mentioned earlier, because his business is in the health and fitness realm. But you said that within working with him, you looked at his marketing, funnel or lead gen situation or whatever, and you said that you made one or two tweaks at the very beginning of his process, at the very beginning of his attraction process, that immediately increased his traffic to his website or to the landing page or the conversion, whatever the success of it was. But the fact is that you had barely got your hands on this account already. So I was curious what those tweaks were, because I thought maybe we could learn something from them.
Yeah. So actually, yes, this is the same business. I've helped. We've been in partners now for over 2 years, because I helped his business grow so much that he decided he wanted to be partners and own a piece of the business.
Wow.
But the thing that we focused on is very simple. He had quite a lot of traffic in terms of organic. He was there, and his blog posts were ranked, and he had, in Google, when people would search various terms, he would get quite a bit of traffic. But one of the biggest problems that most websites have is kind of, again, the same thing that I mentioned to you earlier, when they try to do way too many things, right? It's like, here's all of my information on my website, and you can click everywhere. When you start to streamline that process, and you know that if somebody lands on this page, what I want them to do is fill in their name and email so that they can download this ebook, for example. In our case, it was complete a calculator so that they could get their calorie breakdown and whatnot. The more obstacles you give them, the less likely they're going to do it. So even by just having the ability to ask for only their name and email, as opposed to making them create an account or whatever it may be. And in this case, I think what happened was this is like 2.5 years ago or 3 years ago, but he had too many steps in his calculator, a lot of steps that were irrelevant as well. And even to complete and to get the results of the calculator, he asked too many things, right? And it stops people from taking action. It's people are lazy.
Yeah, no, we
right?
are. Yes.
Everyone is lazy, and people don't want to do anything. So if you can make it as simple as possible for them to click a button, enter my email, submit, done. Okay, I'll do that. But now if you tell me, I have to actually complete 30 questions, and then I got to give you my phone number and my name, and you want my last name too, and now you want my email, and you want me to check this box to I can't be bothered.
Right. No.
So that's the biggest takeaway, is simplify everything. The more complex things are, the less results you're going to have.
Right. I love it. It's so true. We all know that we've gone to something we're interested in. That's the kicker, right? It's sometimes whatever it was that the entrepreneur put out there to attract us, and then we get there, and I will literally glance at it. If there is more than first name and email, I'm probably bouncing. I'm like, whatever. Yep. Even something I wanted.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, yes, it's a combination of lazy, but it's also the combination of whatever. I'm busy.
Exactly. Absolutely.
My 3-year-old granddaughter, my 3-year-old granddaughter calls it bitsy. She says, Mom, I'm bitsy. I'm like, I'm bitsy too, Bella.
That's amazing.
So, all right. Well, Mikael, I know that I could pull stuff out of you for another hour and a half. You're really very smart. I appreciate so much that you're spending your time and your energy with us, and sharing that little tweak. I feel like that was the aha for this show, is that yes, the ideal client isn't just a design aesthetic. It's a design aesthetic and 2 or 3 hot buttons that bring us to that. And then the layer of the aha for me in this conversation, Mikael, was the design aesthetic, the layers for the hot buttons, and that I could identify hot buttons for different demographics to get them all to the same design aesthetic that I want to do. That was, I could attract a millennial with this language. I could attract whatever am I? What am I? I'm a boomer with this language. But for me as a designer, if that's what I want to do, I can attract different types of people that want that one result, but I have to do it targeted, and I have to not put the same message out across the board, but that I separate that message, calling them all to the top of my mountain. I like that.
Yep, absolutely.
Very smart. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. How do people find out about you and find out about this Growth Accelerator if they're interested in being in this amazing mastermind business opportunity with you?
Yeah, so my website is thediaproject.com. My last name is Dia, so thediaproject.com. You can find out about Funnelytics, my software, when you play with the free mapping tool. You'll find out about the Growth Accelerator over there, and anything and everything else that I'm kind of into and doing and whatnot. That's why I called it the Dia Project. It's all about my projects and whatnot.
You don't want to limit yourself, because this time next year you're going to have another idea. We know it.
Yeah, well, maybe not. I mean, ultimately, I just love building businesses and scaling them. So it's a lot of fun.
Very exciting. Thank you so much, Mikael.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
You know what I love? I love that we have talked with several guests over the last 2.5 years about both of these topics, about trying to identify your target client and also with creating email funnels. Several of them have talked about it. So Fred Burns has mentioned it multiple times about your killer bio and how what's your only, right? So if you're interested in the shows with Fred Burns, there's multiple. There's 6 or 7 at this point. Go over to luannniagara.com to the podcast tab, and there's a search bar there. If you put Fred Burns' name in, you will come up with all of his episodes, okay? Then we also had Adam Urbanski, extremely powerful episode 280. I have legit had probably a dozen people message me, email me, and tell me that they have listened to this show 3, 4, and 5 times. No joke. Okay, so this is how to attract your ideal client to you. Great companion episode to this. We also have Nancy Ganskoffer, who has talked about niche is rich and broad is broke, and your business in words. These also go along with this episode. So again, just search Nancy on luannniagara.com in the podcast search bar. Episode 259, Kay Whitaker specifically talked about creating email funnels for an interior design business with exact details on what the sequence could possibly actually be, titled and the wording. And then Claire Jefford in episode 325, she also talked about the value of creating a product that you can attract your ideal client to you and to your website through, and that you can start that conversation about taking them from a cold lead to a inside your business consumer, right? So the thing is, what I love about this is that even though we've talked about this many, many times on the show, each person brings something different to it. And in today's conversation with Mikael, you heard me have my aha moment. Why me particularly, exactly who I am in this world, time and place, might be attracted to mid-century design. And it's completely different why someone else might be attracted to mid-century design. But the lesson is to figure out what it is that attracts a particular consumer and then talk to that, okay? And again, I know this is not new information, but I know for me, when some new way of hearing it unlocks that little, it's like a little adjustment in the brain, and it goes, whoa, okay, makes sense. So I hope you had that moment too. And if you didn't, go back and listen to some of these other shows in companion with this, and then together as a body of work, I think it will really help you understand this. And I just want to give a little shout out to Amber Soko. I call you Amber Soko. You know that because I have a hard time pronouncing your last name. Soko. I'm not even going to try it. But Amber, you know that you are always on my mind every time I use the mid-century design as my example in these conversations. So, hi, sweetie. How are you? All righty. This is why I love what I do. The world is just full of smart, passionate people like Mikael who know what they do, how to do it, and know, most importantly, how to teach us to do it. I think it's an incredible gift that we all get every week by having these conversations with these experts. And I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. If you're interested in Mikael Dia's Accelerator program, you can head over to thediaproject.com. That's thediaproject.com. His other website is funnelytics.io, funnelytics.io. And of course, all the information on each of these shows, the show notes and what the titles and everything are, all can be found on luannniagara.com. All righty. What was your aha moment? What are you going to do today? Maybe your thing that you're going to decide to do is to go back and listen to one of these shows. Maybe it is the Adam Urbanski show. If you haven't heard of this show, that's a really good thing that you could do for your business today. Maybe you're inspired to, this is it. Today's the day I'm going to sit down and create my email marketing funnel. So whatever it is, decide to do it. Decide to be excellent. Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at luannniagara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.